Unions welcome the scrapping of the Tories' spiteful minimum service law. We're going to read into this more from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Guardian with the headline that unions welcome the scrapping of the Tories' spiteful minimum service law. Senior figures praise the repeal of law, but privately want some workers' full workers' rights overhaul implemented without delay. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. I'm complete and full. So I covered a bit. I covered this, highlighted this in the shorts video, but I wanted to do a bit more, add a bit more context to this because I think this is really, really important. This minimum service law was not helpful in any way. It was not beneficiary to the public. It wasn't beneficial to workers. The whole reason that we had so many public sectors on strike was simply because the government weren't willing to pay public sector workers. The money was always there to pay them. It was always there to pay them. It was always a political choice to not pay our public service the decent wages that they need. Now, is Labour going to meet them? Now, as Labour said, they are going to put a lot of money into making sure that our workers get the pay rise that they deserve, and long been overdue, for it as well. But it's. But in terms of this minimum service law, like it wasn't going to change the situation because the whole point of this minimum service law was to try to stop stop public services protesting. And the thing is, we had obviously train strikes under the previous Labour governments, but we never had doctors on strike. We never had nurses on strike. We never had NHS workers on strike, ever. Until the Conservatives made life more difficult for them, and that's a really tragic thing to have happened. But I do agree here that there needs to be an overhaul. But I don't think they're going to be able to do a full workers' rights overhaul straight away. I do think that they will look at it, especially when Parliament returns at some point as well. But I do think there needs to be an overhaul of some sorts, because workers' rights have been eroded over the past several years, in particular by the Conservatives, and we need obviously to make sure that while it is important that businesses are able to thrive, make profit, make money, and succeed, it's also important that the workers have the protections, their sick pay, their holiday pay, the benefits and entitlements that they are supposed to get as well. It's ensuring that they get their fair share as well. So it is about a balance there, because what I don't want is obviously, which one some people might be fearing as well, I'm coming across, is that we should give all the power to the unions and the workers. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. At the moment, there's a lot of firms that are taking advantage of workers. We need to re-establish the balance and make it more fairer for workers and for businesses. We need to find that balance once again, and I do hope that Labour will achieve that. So unions have welcomed the government's move to formally scrap a draconian anti-strike law that would have ensured a minimum level of service during industrial action, as the legislation have restricted workers' rights. Deputy Prime Minister Rayner and the Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds have written to government departments with sectors that were most affected by the strikes to give a clear message the measures will be repealed, and have urged all Metro mayors to start engaging with local employers on the strikes. The Strikes Minimum Service Level Act was introduced by the Conservative government last year in response to a wave of strikes prompted by rows over pay, job and conditions. However, the power has never been used by employers or resolved a single dispute. As ministers noted that industrial action within the NHS alone cost the taxpayer £1.7 billion last year, the Health Secretary West Streeton said other parts of the NHS will be left to pick up the pieces as a result of future strikes, after the British Medical Association warned collective action could last for months. While most senior union figures have praised the repeal of the minimum service law, with one source expressing relief over the fact that for the first time in 15 years a government was not attacking unions, privately, some are waiting to see if the government will deliver on the pledge to overhaul the workers' rights within its first 100 days in power. which they hope will include a ban on zero-hour contracts and an outright ban on fire and rehire practices. Now, they have stated, on the fire and rehire practice, they should outright ban that. I expect that to happen. The zero-hour contracts, they have said in their manifesto, let me be very clear on this. They said they did not say they would ban zero-hour contracts outright. I can't remember the word that they used in it, but exploitive zero-hour contracts, I believe, was the word that they used in their manifesto. So they have never stated that they have not stated that they would ban zero-hour contracts. They stated that they would ban exploitive zero-hour contracts. And some people in the comments have said that zero-hour contracts are actually a benefit to some industries. I'm still not. I don't work in industries that have people working on zero-hour contracts where people said they're better on. So I can't speak enough to say that. But what I will say is that I do think zero-hour contracts is dangerous because sometimes you could be called into work and sometimes you might be called into work and you're not needed to work and whatnot. I just think I think there should be a baseline, a minimum baseline of contracts. I don't agree with a zero-hour contract level. I think there should be a basis, but I think it should also be determined on what kind of job that is as well. Like a baseline that it should work a certain amount of hours. So I don't agree with the zero-hour contract to me personally, but I know some people will disagree in the comments below. Professor Nicola Rayner, the General Secretary of the Royal College of Nursing, knowing that the government must soon go the whole way and remove the remaining anti-union legislation and continue on this mature approach to relations with public sector workers and their representatives. Senior working unions, including the TUC's General Secretary Paul Newark, Matt Rack, the General Secretary of the Fire Brigade Union, Rachel Harrison, the GMB's National Secretary and Union Dawn's General Secretary Paddy Hills, and Paul Whiteman of the National Association of Head Teachers. They were all quick to praise the news, which had been promised in Keir Starmer's first King's speech. Unite appeared to remain silent after criticising the government's workers' rights in the run-up to the general election. Newark said public services work best when governments listen to and engage constructively with their workforce. He added strikes are resolved around the table, not through legislating away dissent, but the Tories insisted on railroading MSL's minimum service levels through Parliament in order to score headlines to look tough on back-to-back benchers. Unison Secretary General Christina said this was a terrible law and it's great for the government is ditching it so early on. Good riddance to bad law. This legislation should never have reached the statute books and no one wants minimum service level. Only a spiteful government watching power drain away and desperate to shore up its rapid disappearing support. It forms part of a wider reset of industrial relations in Britain after Streeting attempt to end the dispute with junior doctors with an offer to increase their wages by 22.3% over 2 years. Junior doctors leaders in England agreed to the pay deal, which is now being put to members with the government. Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, also gave the public sector workers an above inflation pay increase after accepting the recommendations of the independent pay body review last week. Rayner said attempting to clamp down on the fundamental freedoms of working people who have got us nowhere, and this was targeted at sectors who dedicated their lives to serving us all. That's why we're scrapping this pointless law and creating new partnership between business, trade unions and working people through our New Deal. Repealing this legislation is the first part of our plan to reset industrial relations so they are fit for a modern economy. Reynolds added by removing minimum service levels, this will reset industrial relations so they are based on good faith negotiations and bargaining, ending the chaos and restoring trust in public service. This is about restoring politics as public service, ensuring government acts to fix problems, not cause them. And it is a step in the right direction, but there's a lot more work to be done. And I know people are going to say that, and obviously, understandably, some people obviously are still questions about Labour, and rightly so. But this is a good thing from the Labour government to do this, getting rid of this pointless law. I don't think there's no credibility for it, you guys. I really don't see any credibility for it. If you want to make a case in the comments, you're more than welcome to do so. But I personally don't. I think it was pointless. It wasn't making a difference at all. It was only antagonising these people. And we want public services to do well. We want workers to do well. We want them to succeed. We want them to, we want to incentivize them to work as well, incentivize them to do well as well, and chastising them and pushing down on them. It's not helping anyone. Obviously, everything all comes with a cost. I know that obviously the question is how do you pay for all these things? Well, we'll find out. I think over time, especially when in October, late October was when the Chancellor introduces her budget. That will obviously be a very important point to see how things are going to be paid for as well, which is going to be what is and isn't going to be paid for, and what tax rises are coming, because we know tax rises are coming. And it's not just the case that Labour were going to increase taxes. The Conservatives were going to have to increase taxes. It didn't matter who was going to come next in government. Tax increases were going to happen. But this is also in part for 14 years of Conservative failure as well. You know, I'll never forget David Cameron telling us that we've all got to tighten our belts to reduce the debt. And now we have more debt than ever before. It's almost as if they lied to us, the Conservative Party. What do you guys think? What do you guys make of the scrapping of the spiteful minimum service law, as they call it? Do you agree with it? Maybe some of you vehemently disagree. Some of you think maybe that the law should have stayed in place. Let me know your thoughts and more on all this down in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. It would be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.